Well, our last show was a blast. We had our first live show in a while. We did it at Dulono's Pizza downtown Minneapolis. That's 118 North 4th Street, Minneapolis. And it was so good to see all of our friends, all of our longtime listeners, a lot of new listeners. One guy drove up like from Iowa. I'm sitting there chatting with him before the show, and he's leaving after the show, and he goes, I got a 2-3 hour drive. I'm like, you came 2 or 3 hours to see us? I wouldn't walk across the street to see us, Michael. But luckily, a lot of people apparently will.
Humbling, and it was awesome. It was also great to see how many more people came.
Yes,
really than our other live shows. So I think that's really cool, and it's such a great venue. I mean, you can stand right in front of, stand or sit right essentially with us, and it seemed like the acoustics were pretty awesome in there. And welcome everybody to come out July 24th. At 5:30 p.m. I'll probably have a lot more carbs in my system at that point because after about a week and a half in Italy.
Yeah, well, you're having, we don't have to ask the traditional question on the podcast, what do you do during the summer? We now know. You do live shows at Dulono's, and you travel to Italy. I'm a little jealous. In fact, my wife is now talking to me about, we got to go to Italy.
Yeah, no, it's going to be my third or fourth time there. My last
What's
time
the best
there,
part?
Well, it's just awesome. Just seeing history.
which is actually literally the best part of Italy to go to?
I have never been to this part, so I'm really looking forward to it. I've been to like Venice, Florence. Florence is incredible.
My daughter was in Florence for a study thing, and she loved it.
Mm-hmm. I want to go to Sicily one day because that's technically my heritage, and I've never been there. Coincidentally, my
explains
mother
the anger.
Yeah. I have a lot of things that can explain the anger. And from that family side. And then my mother actually just went to Italy fairly recently, and she absolutely loved it. And I'm just looking forward, like, we land in Milan and go up to, like, Como, Bellagio, which is apparently incredible. Like, Lunani just sent me, like, 50 restaurants we have to check out. Unfortunately, we're only there, like, a day and a half. And then we're doing Cinque Terre. We're staying in like a Tuscan villa for 4 days, and this villa apparently has its own wine label there. So like you just buy wine there, and then we're going to Venice for a couple days. So really looking forward to it. We leave in 4 hours, and I'm looking at Snapchat, and AJ LaPanta like a minute ago has a picture of his dad Anthony in like the weeds trying to find his ball. So I just sent Margot a text. I said, do me a favor, tell AJ and Anthony to bring their passports and to remind them that we're going to Italy in a couple hours. And she wrote me back. She goes, AJ, I reminded about the passport this morning and said that he definitely would have forgotten it if I didn't remind it, and Anthony hasn't packed yet. So
all Anthony
that's
needs
what
is
I'm going to be dealing with for the next
pair of cargo shorts and he's set.
No, he's very proud of the fact he says he doesn't use any hair product.
I know he does. He always says, and I actually believe him, but I'm not going to stop.
No, I definitely see it because every time we're in the kind of like the I can't even think of the word, but not, like kind of dressing room area there.
You need more coffee.
Where FSN gets ready, it pisses me off. He puts his hand under the sink, puts a couple like drops of water in, and then just puts it in his hair. All right, let's go. Yeah,
no, it's a genetic. He's a genetic freak in terms of hair.
Yeah,
we talk about athletes who are genetic freaks. He is a freak.
Yes, no doubt, he's a freak. Man,
let me interrupt so I actually introduce the show. He's Michael Russo from The Athletic. I'm Jim Souhan from the Star Tribune. This is our hockey show on talknorth.com. We're starting to do more live shows. We're having the network's doing very well. We appreciate all of our listeners for helping us get this far. Next live shows are July 17th, 6 o'clock at Free House with Cheryl Reeve, and July 24th, 5:30 at Dulono's with Michael Russo. We're also looking at a couple of venues for our other shows. We're doing very well with sponsorships for the fall. I will say we have some new shows, including a new soccer show with Craig Mallis, former Minnesota United player, who also has international connections. And we'd love to start building up sponsors for his show. And if you'd like to kind of get in on the ground floor on some shows, we have some brand new shows like the Shaver and Jordan Taylor show, The Flow. You can get in for a very low price just to kind of help those shows get off the ground. If you'd like to work with us at any price point, we can get you in someplace. Thanks to our sponsors, Dulono's, Twill in the Edina Galleria, Fixologyrepair.com, and Tony Hoaglund, your State Farm agent in Champlin. What's the first hockey topic you want to get to today before we get back to travel and lifestyles of the rich and famous?
Well, development camp starts on tomorrow, 10th to the 15th. Scrimmages open to the public July 12th at 2 p.m. and July 15th at 5:30. Double check online because I'm doing that by memory and I don't have a good one. So we're going to be at the Athletic. We'll be there throughout. Nick Kelly, our actually incredible intern, who's just a jack of all trades right now for us, and very, very invaluable now with me taking off for the next little bit. And Chad Graff, who, by the way, is about to write an incredible story that all Wild fans want to see, something that they've been asking me a lot about in the last couple months. Definitely read that. But Chad's also leaving the country. He's getting married and honeymoon. Wow. So Nick will be there at development camp for us, and Jake Jensen as well, who works for us as a contributor. And so both of them will have that covered like a blanket. And then Wednesday, the Beauty League starts at Braemar. They're every Wednesday night in July, then twice a week in August until the playoffs. The roster is as good as it was last year. 3 games a night of 4-on-4, $10 to get in for all 3 games. If you're under 10 and shorter than Buffalo and Stick, you get in free. Definitely go to that. And I'll be covering that when I get back to the country, but Nick will be there as well doing a bunch of cool stories. Other stuff going on right now. Again, they're trying to work out a trade. I really would be shocked if while I'm out of the country, Zucker and Dumba resign, but it'll happen because they both filed for arbitration. So they'll eventually get their deal done in advance of a ruling. It doesn't, technically, people write this wrong. You can go to actually have a hearing and still settle before the actual arbitrator gives out his award, and that has happened in the past. But very rarely does it actually get to a hearing. So I think both will be re-signed long term. But I do think that Paul Fenton is very nervous about giving 2 more guys over $5 million. I got to look this up, but the Wild have to have as many players, if not more, in the league making $4 million or more as any team. And I think that's one big reason why they can almost never get in on a lot of this, a lot of the big trades or big free agents. And I know the stuff that frustrates fans.
Interesting. Let's go ahead and thank Dulono's. And by the way, stayed and had their pizza, had their old-fashioned Tattersall bitters and all that kind of stuff. It's a cool place to hang out. Huge, great for sports fans. Huge, big screen TVs everywhere. There's a back room with bubble hockey, which is my favorite game of all time, pool tables, video games. For an idiot like me, it's the perfect place to hang out. It's just a blast. But
darts.
Their pizza is so good, and it's my kind of pizza. It's the kind of pizza that goes well with a beer. Let's put it that way.
Right.
And they have sandwiches and all kinds of other stuff. You can find their menu online. Check them out online or check them out on Twitter, Dulono's Pizza. And again, July 24th.
5:30 p.m.
5:30 p.m. Want to make sure we get that right. They also have a huge delivery area. We obviously are highlighting the place in Minneapolis. They also have their place in Woodbury, but they have a huge delivery area, and we highly recommend it after checking out everything they had to offer the other day. And let's get
lunch buffet $9.99.
That's right, lunch buffet $9.99, and also
during the week,
huge long happy hours. They make it really easy to show up and get a good deal as well as good stuff. But I wanted to thank our primary sponsor on the podcast, Twill in the Edina Galleria, twillmn.com, Twill on Instagram. I've been wearing my Peter Millar stuff. I've been wearing my Barber stuff, my Johnny O stuff might be my favorite. And as I always tell you, it's in the Edina Galleria, which makes it a really easy, classy shopping experience, and they have so much cool golf stuff and casual stuff up front that you can just pop in, get a shirt, and get really good customer service.
Jim usually doesn't like to shop for clothes. I don't like it when he shops for clothes either, because he used to buy stuff I'd want to throw out. That's why I'm so glad he's found Twill in the Edina Galleria. He likes shopping there because of the comfortable environment and the friendly staff. He finds clothes that actually fit him properly and are high-quality brands that will look great for years, whether he's golfing or working. Our favorites so far are Peter Millar, Johnny O, and Barber. We spend our money at Twill because we love the clothes and we love the no-pressure shopping. Drop by Twill in the Edina Galleria for the best shopping experience and best clothes you'll find in the Twin Cities.
All right, more hockey, or should we talk about the trip to Italy more?
No, let's talk hockey.
So what, for somebody who isn't as plugged in as you are on hockey, just tell me what I should be looking. What's the next big shoe to drop in the NHL right now?
I think Dumba gets in the NHL.
Eric in the NHL or with the Wild.
Yeah, in the NHL, Erik Karlsson's going to get traded, I think, at some point. The other thing is I do think that sooner rather than later, and probably after his meeting with Panarin in Russia or in Europe, Jarmo Kekalainen is going to have to trade Panarin. I just don't think that they want to play out what just happened with John Tavares and lose another guy. This is an organization that always loses guys for nothing, and I think that they got to get ahead of it. And so the problem with that, getting ahead of it, is that and right now he has not given the agent permission to talk to anybody. And if the agent hasn't talked to anybody, you can't give up big assets for a guy that you're not assured is going to sign an extension immediately. And because you don't want to trade great assets for Panarin, and then all of a sudden he tells you, same thing, I'm not ready to sign long term. And so I think that one is as much as he's perfect for the Wild, it makes very little sense for them to get in on him unless they know for 100% certainty that he's going to sign here. And sorry, he's not. Next, Karlsson. Looked like it was imminent to Tampa, but Tampa's got to move a bunch of contracts. I think Dallas is back in it. And I just think that he's going to, again, another player that really controls his destiny, because not only does he have to sign there, but he's got to waive his no moves, no trades. So, Karlsson, somebody the next thing. In terms of the Wild, I think Dumba gets done first, then Zucker. Zucker's the person that is asking for a lot of money right now, where I think Dumba understands where his worth is at this point, or his value. And I just think the numbers make more sense there, where I think Zucker's agent is he's over 6 right now, is my guess. And the Wild want to give him between 5 and 5.25 would be my guess. I'm sure they would like to go below 5, but he's Nino's contract, in my opinion. And Nino might have a little more pedigree because he has 3 years of 20 goals, where Zucker has 2. And maybe and Nino has been better in the playoffs, although both of them failed this past postseason. So maybe the Wild would like to get him in under Nino. But here's the deal. All the leverage is on Jason right now. He's filed for ARB. He can't get a 1-year ARB, or the Wild are going to lose him in free agency most likely, unless they somehow extend him in January. And if they don't get it done now, I don't see why they get it done with January. And he's 1 year from UFA, where Nino wasn't. So he's got all the leverage. He probably also knows that their team like Vegas is 100% going to come after him. And even if it's not Vegas, there's plenty of great places that are going to want to pay him. So he's got all the leverage. So they might have to come in north of where they want to sign him long term. And that's where, if he's playing too much hardball, and this is too much for the Wild's stomach, paying him 5.7 or something on a long-term deal, they really legitimately might trade him.
Wow. If they felt forced to trade them, do you think they'd get value that would make the average Wild fan happy?
Well, that's the problem again, is just, every big name that's on the trading block right now that you keep on hearing has the same issue for the team that's trading for them. They're all a year from UFA. So they control their future, which means that usually now you don't give up a lot of assets. These are the type of guys that go at the trade deadline for significant assets, when they're, Martin Hansel type deals. So that's the scary thing here is, Jeff Skinner's one, Wayne Simmons is one, Karlsson's one, Panarin's one, Zucker is one, obviously. Dumba is not a year from UFA, so he's in a different story. So that's the problem, is that, Zucker at this point probably doesn't get you the value unless, again, Paul Fenton lets his people talk to the team that wants him and says, well, you extend them. If you're Vegas right now, why would you give up why would you give up a 7th-round pick for Zucker? You're going to get him for nothing next year, most likely anyway. Nothing meaning just paying him. So you're not giving up a move. And there's where, again, he's got leverage. Like, let's just say in the back of Jason's mind, he wants to go to play in Vegas. First of all, let me rephrase that. Jason wants to re-sign here long term. But he knows a UFA that it's very easy and very likely that they would come after him. So if you're